We have reached that time of the show where we send a small child into the video archives of CBS News, sticky hands to run them across all the titles. Whatever they pick becomes our morning's memory. And today we have an age-old question. What do we need to do here in New York City to get rid of the pigeons? After there were reports of disease being spread by these city birds, a debate began on how to best deal with the pigeon population. That is a euphemism, people. Listen to how CBS News covered the controversy on this day, 1963.
The question arises now, as it has in the past, what is to be done with the city's pigeons? Dr. Maxwell Littman, the Board of Health's chief mycologist, created something of a disturbance in some quarters of the city government sensitive to public opinion by saying the pigeons should be exterminated. On the other hand, separate feeding areas have been set apart in almost every city park for those who like their pigeons well fed. Apparently a difference here of municipal opinion. This is Len Cortella reporting.
You may be wondering, did we actually go through with killing all of the pigeons in 1963 here in New York? I don't think we did, because I saw about 4 million of them this morning.
Time again for our series, Mornings Memory. And today we are revisiting some OG reality TV. Big Brother, ladies and gentlemen, debuted on our network in the year 2020. On this very day, Eddie McGee, the first winner of the series, appeared on The Early Show and was joined by 2 runners-up. The trio spoke about how reality TV changed them.
Yes, I do recommend it, but I wouldn't do it again. I recommend doing it at least once.
Okay, how has it changed you?
It has changed me. I have found a newfound respect for many loved ones in my life, and it opens your eyes to things that you take for granted in everyday life. Hot showers, for example.
Wait a minute, let's clear the hot showers. I think you guys had hot water from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., but you chose to sleep through the hot shower, the hot water period, correct?
Sleep's important.
Sleep's important.
And there's our Julie Chen, who's still doing it and looks exactly the same. But I want to clear up. I said the year 2020. That was in 2000.
Yeah, but what's interesting is the style is now the same. I mean, people kind of dress in a similar fashion, so you couldn't tell really. But morning's memory. Today, 1990, President George H.W. Bush. He came out swinging. Watch this.
The House today gets its first chance to vote on the $500 billion budget deal. President Bush has lobbied hard for Republican support, but even he can't make new taxes sound good. Deborah Potter reports.
After hours of lobbying, the president took a break from the budget battle and hit the tennis court.
So people think George H.W. Bush was like the geeky president. He was actually a super good athlete. He played college baseball. 3 of his teammates went to the big leagues. He used to call the sports reporter from the Washington Post for advice on where to fish, advice on tickets to different games. He was really, really, really sporty. You can even tell here he's got a little bit of bounce in his step.
Who was he playing tennis with there?
Pete Sampras.
Unbelievable.
The one, the only, the great.
Amazing. Well, so many things that we still are learning about our former presidents.
There's so much to appreciate in presidential past and maybe presidential future.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for Morning's Memory, and we're getting into the good old days today, the days of no GPS navigation system of any kind in your car. Those are the days, and I remember them, where you had to print out directions from MapQuest or use an old-fashioned map or write things down on an envelope and have your landmarks in mind. Or maybe you were lucky and you had a device like the TomTom. They were clunky gadgets, but many of us used for directions, and at the time, I remember these, they were totally life-changing. Look how The Early Show covered navigation systems on this very day 21 years ago.
As bad as navigating through traffic can be, it still doesn't beat getting lost while en route to your destination.
But thanks to onboard navigation systems, you can leave the maps in the glove compartment.
300 feet ahead, turn left.
And GPS receivers just keep getting smaller. This one fits on a wristband and helps runners keep better track of their workout. Now this is a prototype of an implantable GPS. It's going to get a lot smaller than this before it actually gets into production.
Great
cool,
story.
Huh?
All right, thanks a lot, Lori.
In our morning's memory, remember what dating was like before the internet?
Nope.
I don't either.
Me neither.
Well, on this day in 2003, Anthony Mason reported on a new fad called online dating and Match.com's explosive popularity. Take a look.
Yes, grew up on a farm. He grew up in the city. He's Jewish. I'm Catholic. And they say, oh, no.
You were Monica 44, accomplished small-town girl seeks intelligent, muscular man?
Yes. So he has a black background, so you can't really tell if he's built or not. I would only date muscular men, so I looked at his legs and I could tell he was muscular from his legs, so I thought, okay, I can go out with him.
You studied this picture very carefully.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, she's very particular.
Yes, I'm very...
Extremely.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Anthony Mason has hardly changed. That computers, however, have changed quite a bit.
What's so amazing is it used to be taboo to say you met your spouse online. People used to come up with fake stories about it. They used to meet at work. Now the opposite is true. If you meet at work, it's like, really? And you were working with...
Exactly.
What was the relationship?
That's what's weird now. All right, it is time now for our morning's memory. In the 90s, clunky cell phones were all we knew. Remember when Zach Morris called Kelly Kapowski on?
No.
Do you guys remember Zach Morris? Anybody?
I remember Zach
Yeah,
Morris.
we do. Yeah, we do. They do in the control room. And so if you were really lucky, you had a clunky satellite phone. Remember those? Well, if not, we've got a refresher. On this day in 1998, CBS San Diego filed a report on this new way to communicate. Take a look.
Calling you from outer space. From a portable handset straight to the sky, an iridium phone that knows no boundaries. As I speak, my voice is heading straight to a satellite. It's a portable satellite phone. Do I sound like I'm a long ways away?
It goes to the nearest satellite that's about 430 miles overhead, and there's a series of about 66 of these satellites.
There's about a half-second delay using the satellite phones, and the sound quality may not be as good as a regular cell phone. But this phone does things others could only dream about.
That video looks like it was from half a century ago, doesn't it?
I know. And those devices look like they're from a half a century ago. I mean, I guess it's still amazing that you can say a thing and it can bounce off of something in space and then land on the other side of the world and someone be like, yeah, I hear you, great.
And time now for our morning's memory. Do you guys remember when Nintendo came out with the Nintendo Wii?
Yep.
We're going to go back to the year 2007. That's when it was, when so many of us gathered in front of our TVs to play games, especially the bowling one that allowed us to not physically play along. And a lot of people used to use the Wii as a way to get in shape. So on this very day, nearly 20 years ago, our very own Dr. Don LaPook explored those very fitness benefits.
Call it Exergaming. One part exercise, one part video game. And it's not just for kids.
Come on, Tony!
This weekly bowling tournament where you have to move your body and not just your mouse caters to the 80-something crowd.
Anything that gets you out there having fun, burning calories without hurting yourself is good.
But the advantage of high tech is low impact.
I'm a winner.
It can provide a real workout without damaging aging joints and brittle bones.
Whoa.
Dr. LaPook, you look so good. You look the same, honestly, just your hair was a little longer.
Well, the secret to looking young when you're old is to look old when you're young.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Are you still that spry? That was incredible.
I still play ping pong, I have to say. That was Atanda Musa, who was an amazing tennis ping pong player.
So do you remember doing that story?
Totally remember it. Linda Karras, who was a terrific, brilliant producer, hilarious. This was her idea. We went up to Boston, we did it, and we were going all around, and it was one of my first pieces. I mean, I was here for about a year before that, so it was 17 years.
So in retrospect, was the Wii gaming exercise craze the Ozempic of its day, or just a passing fad?
No, in fact, last night I did a whole, search about all this, and it's continued to grow. I mean, during the pandemic, right, people were sort of, in their apartments or in their homes, and that was something they could do. It's also being used for various medical things, like Parkinson's, for balance. Older people who may not be able to sort of get outside and do a lot of activity, but they can still do it, wherever they are. So yeah, I mean, it helps cognitive function, on and on and on.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, it helps cognitive function. I remember making that argument trying to get my mom to buy me an earlier Nintendo. It didn't work. All right, Dr. LaPook, thank you very much.
So
Appreciate it.
We are taking you back to 1993 when there was no YouTube or fancy video editing software, but zombie movies still did exist on film. On this day, 31 years ago, The Early Show gave an inside look at the making of a horrifying zombie movie on a low budget. Take a look.
Todd Sheets and crew are masters of speed. Production time for some of their films is measured in days. They usually shoot directly on videotape for the home video market. And that makes Zombie Bloodbath an epic. It took a couple of months and 250 gallons of fake blood. One of the tough things about making a zombie movie on a shoestring budget is you gotta hire a lot of zombies, and Zombie Bloodbath needed hundreds of them. Fortunately, Todd Sheets managed to find a zombie around every corner. More than 700 of them, and they worked for free.
That was a clever stand-up. Did you see that?
It was very clever. I love how we're like 1 minute into the CGI era, and we're already talking about, remember when zombies had to act like zombies?
Yes.
How quickly we forget.
Time for our morning's memory. You know the hit movie Bridge of Spies? It was a box office success that got 6 Oscar nominations. And on this day in 2015, our very own Gayle King got an inside look at the dynamics on set. She sat down with director Steven Spielberg and star actor, my favorite actor, in fact, Tom Hanks. Take a look.
Stephen, how does one say to Tom Hanks, that was good, but could you do that over?
That's
a little
exactly
more
what he
energy.
said.
Because
What
I
basically say, I say exactly what I guess he said. my mantra is very simple. I say, that was great, that was brilliant. Once more.
Yes.
Once more. Yeah.
See, no, I remember seeing a long time ago the making of an Indiana Jones movie, and I remember Harrison Ford was saying he was doing something with his hand. He said, Stephen, how about this in the foreground? Do you like this in the foreground? And Stephen said, I love it. Keep it in. And I thought, you get to do that on a Steven Spielberg?
Of course you do.
You get to say,
Tom Hanks with the mustache, ladies and gentlemen.
The mustache is back in style. That's how old the clip is. Gayle hasn't changed at all, I have to say.
She has not. But I love Tom Hanks. I love Steven Spielberg. But even the greats have to be directed sometimes.
Sure, I love the kind of alibi for how he gets them to redo it. I loved it. I loved it just one more time. Around here, if we have like a promo or something we're shooting on tape and they want us to redo it, they always have a lot of excuses. It's like, oh, your microphone took a hit. Well, not you. It's not you. We had a little lighting problem. We are diving into the archives of the early show, a precursor to this show. On this day in the year 2000, we met a woman truly a force to be reckoned with when it comes to baking. 90-year-old Gladys Jeffries. She wasn't just entering county fair baking contests. She was winning them, all of them, sweeping them. She's winning ribbons as though it were an Olympic sport. In fact, if it were an Olympic sport, she'd have more gold medals than Michael Phelps. And he was good, you'll recall. Watch this.
All of these blue ribbons are from this fair this fall.
Right.
I don't see a second place or third place in the group.
There is. And this is for the best apple pie. And this is my fourth one of these.
Perhaps at age 90, Gladys is just now reaching her prime. Blue ribbons this year for her apple and peach pies, white corn and rye breads, a chocolate zucchini bread, baking powder biscuits, applesauce cake, and for her crocheted doilies.
It seems like if you sneezed, you would win a ribbon.
If you think we're exaggerating.
She had some skills.
She had some skill. Now, of course, 24 years later, in the age of Wegovy and Ozempic, we don't eat apple pie anymore. No apple pie.
I eat apple pie. I love apple pie.
Wow.
That's my fave.
That's so retro of you.
Yeah, I know. You might recognize this catchy tune. It's Noah Kahan's smash hit, Stick Season. On this day, just 2 years ago, our Dan Crawford introduced us to the artist, who was a rising star at the time. They spoke about his career and the story behind Stick Season and the album of the same name. Take a look.
What's it mean to you, that song?
It's about how things move forward, you know. In Vermont, fall, it's beautiful, and then the leaves fall off the trees and it stinks, and then it's wintertime and it's pretty again. I think the song means so much more than just a song. I think it represents a new path for me in my career.
With his latest album, Stick Season, he decided to take a risk, moving full force into folk music.
His tour just started, and most shows are sold out.
I think all of them will be after hearing that pack.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Are you wearing the same tie?
I think I'm the same person because it's this morning memory is from 5 minutes ago. Note to our producers, CBS has been around for a long time. I think we can go deeper into the decades,
Yes,
right?
yes.
This is like short-term memory.
Let's look for black and white for tomorrow.
Yes, please. Time now for our morning's memory. Buying a home in 2024 is difficult. The American dream, some people say, is vanishingly hard to grasp. But history is repeating itself all over again, in fact. You can turn back the clock to 1979 when CBS News reported on a young family in Chicago who were struggling to buy a home.
Mike and Sandy Suter would like to buy a new house, bigger and closer to their jobs. They can afford a down payment. What they can't afford are current mortgage rates. So they've quit looking.
Considering that this house, if I were to buy it today, would probably cost me another $195 a month more just to buy this equivalent house. And the difference in interest rate, that put me right out of the market.
We are going back 26 years. We're going to do this right now to revisit a report from the late, great Tom Fenton, an award-winning reporter with CBS News known as the Dean of American Foreign Correspondents. In this memory, Fenton was assigned to a story of century-old bottles of champagne found at the bottom of the ocean. He even had a chance to sample one.
From the depths of the Baltic Sea has come a treasure trove of liquid gold, 91-year-old Heidsieck champagne, thousands of bottles of it. They were bound for the Tsar's army in World War I when the ship was sunk by a German U-boat. Not only still has the fizz, the aroma and taste have mellowed in more than 80 years at the bottom of the ice-cold sea. In the interest of accurate reporting, we sampled it ourselves. It clearly looked like the real thing. And it tastes like champagne. Wonderful, wonderful. Just a little sweet taste and a bit of the nuttiness. 1907, wonderful year.
That's what we like to call original reporting here at CBS News.
And he went that extra mile tasting it. I became really interested in this story. It was found in the Baltic Sea, that cache of champagne. But about 10 years later, 15 years later, there was another cache found from 1780.
Oh, I think I remember this.
And it's the oldest known recovered champagne. People popped the top on deck, and it was still bubbly, still good.
That's unbelievable.
There's something magical about the Baltic in particular. Because it's so deep, dark, and there's not a lot of oxygen down there, so it's like the perfect storage. On this day in 1990, we were treated to a very unusual demonstration on CBS This Morning, as it was then known, explaining how a recession works with some very large and colorful balls. Funny word to say on TV. As you'll see, it's a quirky, hand-on illustration about what happens when supply and demand are a little bit out of whack. Take a look.
Here you see a factory worker on the right making large colored balls, which he will then ship to a colored ball store run by the fellow in the middle of your screen. The storekeeper, in turn, will now sell the balls to a customer, the fellow on the left. Now you will notice that every time the customer buys a ball, the factory sends over a new ball to replace the one that has just been sold. So the number of balls in the store always stays approximately the same. And what we have here is a healthy, well-managed economic system. When the factory is told to stop making balls, the factory worker has nothing to do, so he is laid off. Then, when the customer hears about layoffs at the factory, he gets scared and decides, I'd better not spend any more money on balls, so he disappears as a customer. Now, with no customer and too many balls, the store owner is close to ruin. And now we are heading to a classic severe recession. And the situation.
Wow.
His face said it all there.
Yeah, it did. So did we pay those actors, or was that like that would be a YouTube video today, and then we would just reference? I think that's the difference.
No, that could be created with AI today.
Yeah.
We have to find triplets or
triplets
just
with glasses.
Yeah,
Left
exactly.
holding the ball and
Yes.
in trouble there.
But it reminds you that George H.W. Bush, who was president in 1990, he did face some mild recessions, but significant enough for Bill Clinton to deliver that knockout blow. It's the economy, stupid.
Yes. When you think of controversial artists, Kenny G probably does not come to mind, but that changed in 2014 while he innocently waded into a pro-democracy protest in Hong Kong, all because of a selfie he tweeted. Check out this report filed on this day 10 years ago.
The smooth sound of Kenny G, not so smooth in China. It's creating big tensions there. His impromptu visit to a pro-democracy protest got an unexpected response. Seth Doan is in Beijing.
It may have seemed innocent enough. Kenny G snapped a selfie at the Hong Kong demonstration, made a peace sign, and tweeted, "I wish everyone a peaceful and positive conclusion to this situation." China's foreign ministry spokeswoman Hu Chunying admitted Kenny G's music is popular in China, but said Wednesday, "We hope all foreign countries and individuals could be discreet and not support the illegal protest."
And we were making some phone calls earlier today on a totally different story here, Nora, and we were put on hold, and you can guess what that music was. It was Kenny G.
Now for our morning's memory. Game 1 of the World Series kicks off tonight in Los Angeles. In honor of the big game, we are taking you back to 2006. That's when our Steve Hartman introduced us to Zach Hampel, the undisputed king of snagging baseballs. At the time of this report, Hampel had collected nearly 3,000, you heard that right, 3,000 baseballs from big league parks.
Wow.
Watch this.
I am a fan. I am a very passionate fan. Some would call me an obsessed fan. Any chance for a ball, please?
Tell me again why we had to get here so early.
If I'm the first one in and I'm the first one down to the seats, I'll find a ball just lying in the seats. Oh my God. Ha! I'll take it. Visiting teams love to spot their quote-unquote fans on the road and reward them with autographs or baseballs. There's 30,000 people in this stadium, and for a moment, all eyes would be on me or anyone else who catches a ball, and it's about beating the odds and beating the competition.
Zach managed to get 13 balls the night I was with him. Now, if we can just help him get a life.
Help him get a life, Steve. Wow, that's real nice.
Uncharacteristic for Steve Hartman.
Our morning's memory, let's go back 24 years ago today when Martha Stewart appeared on CBS to teach us how to carve a jack-o'-lantern just right. Take a look.
It just wouldn't be Halloween without a spooky jack-o'-lantern, so who better to help us carve one than Martha Stewart?
If you have the right tools, you can do any kind of pumpkin. And then here we have a pumpkin decorated with vegetables, very cute.
Should I be able to cut this?
Oh, you should be able to, saw a little bit. Here. Let's see. What's going on here?
I don't know.
What's going on? Oh, this is very hard.
This is hard work, Martha.
Oh, it is not hard work.
Yes, it is.
Now, I want you to stay here for a second because we're going to turn to today's morning memory. And on this day in 1997, Jess, you're going to love this. CBS News reported on an office in California that allowed employees to bring their dogs to work. The company found that having man's best friend and woman's best friend working alongside them had a positive impact on productivity, while also making people a lot happier. Take a look.
Here a dog, there a dog. Everywhere you look, another dog. Welcome to Autodesk, one of the leaders in the software industry, a company that thinks pets belong at the office. No bones about it. Patty Harris says having her pals Dreamer, Lamb Chops, and Cricket around the office really makes a difference.
Because the gang is here, I work more. You know, I don't have the pressure to go home and make sure the dogs are okay.
Katie's here almost every day. Does Katie like coming to work?
She wouldn't let me leave the house without her.
Like all of these office dogs, Frida has her own corporate dog tag. Any problems for her adjusting to the work situation?
She's pretty content here. She stays and sleeps most of the time and trades bones with the dog across the way.
I like it. I like it.
So, Asher, since you're here and since you play a character from the 90s who was probably also alive in the 80s, I want you to stay for our morning's memory. This is, this is where we're traveling back to the 1980s. A clip from the old CBS. A new music format was growing in popularity at the time of this clip. It was called the compact disc, or CD, as you may recall. Watch how CBS touted this amazing new musical format as the next big thing on this day exactly 40 years ago.
This is the album of the future, and it's fast becoming a hit. It's called a CD. That's short for compact disc. The music on one of these is recorded by computer. When you play it back through a sound system, it's better than any recording you've ever heard.
The sound of a compact disc is unlocked not by a phonograph needle or a tape head, but by a laser beam. That's important because it means nothing is rubbing or grinding against the surface of this while it's being played. In short, unlike this or this, the quality of this doesn't wear away.
That's so funny because people now go to vinyl because they like the quality of the sound and how it's different with the rubbing.
It's fuller, but a laser beam, I mean, that's the future, right?
I feel like the blowing on the CD was a big thing, like cleaning it. Like,
oh, yeah. Because of all the dust.
And it kind of set you up for like cleaning your N64 out and blowing it, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Totally. But you dropped the CD once, it was scratched forever. You're probably at least faintly familiar with the term doppelganger, where two people look very similar. Have you heard of a Google ganger? That is apparently when a person, you and another person are searched on Google, you have the same name, and the results can be confusing. It leads to an unlikely friendship in some rare occasions, though. So check out the CBS report on this day, 2007.
Another Matthew Slutsky, and I was, immediately felt drawn to this guy because we share the same name, and it's an unusual name. We talk every couple weeks. How's the family? He's almost part of my family now. My mother actually contacted him as well and said, "Hey, I'm Matthew Slutsky's mother." So it's really a family affair now.
You might find you've got 1, 2, or even 10 Google gangers, but that can lead to confusion. Which one is really you?
I love this, Google gangers. Do you have a Google ganger?
My last name is very unusual. I don't think there's any other Tony Dokoupil in the entire United States.
All right, I have one, and she's a table tennis pro.
Whoa.
Yes.